Hi everyone, welcome to Fishing Minty, where today I'm on Bude Canal, hoping to target some skimmer bream up to about 2 pounds on the feeder. Bait wise for ground bait, we've got Sonia Baits Sweet F1 Dark. There's 700ml of that. Basically I've got this little lunchbox here which is 680ml, so there's a little bit more than that tub of ground bait. Added some water to that, which is just drying nicely. And I've got about a pint of red dead maggots, probably about less than half a pint of dead pinkies left from the last session, and we've got some worms to chop up as well to add to feederfuls as I go. Starting out loading 4 of these bait up feeders, and I'm going to fish 2 lines, one halfway about 16 metres on the long pole line and another one against the far bank. Just in line with, well, one in line with the front of that left hand boat, and one in line with the middle of the boat on the right. The reason for that is so that I can reel my line through without affecting the middle line. You know, if I reel in my feeder from the far side, I don't want it to go straight through my near side peg. So I'm going to bait up, leave it 45 minutes just casting on the near margin, waiting for that to settle. And then I'll target both those lines. For my far line, I'm using my Nitro Marvelist all-rounder 12-foot rod with a Nitro Impacts long cast 5500 reel. Just got I think it's a 1/4 ounce bomb that I'm just going to use to clip up on the far bank. So now I've got that clipped up to a nice distance. I'm going to use the bait up feeder to get 4 feederfuls of ground bait with dead maggots and a few pellets in. So this 680ml tub I've pretty much filled there with the ground bait and some dead maggots and 6mm bloodworm pellets and 4mm krill pellets. I'm just going to mix all that up in there. I've not put anything in the ground bait bowl, just left that as pure ground bait for now. And then once I've mixed all this up, I'll cast out 4 of those to the far line and then do the same again with a medium line at 16 metres. Like I say, I'm not going on that line straight away, but I'm going to cast into the near margin. But this is a feeder I've downsized to now. It's a Drennan Mini 15 gram wire cage with the same contents in, the ground bait and dead red maggots. And I've got triple dead pinky on size 14 Preston N20 hook. I would normally have a 16 on, but this is what's on my rod from the last session, so I will downsize that later on when I'm all set up and fishing. But I'll just cut this out for now. I might as well have a line out there while I'm baiting up on my other line. So on the 16 line I've got my Preston Ascension 10-foot 8-inch rod, and that's got a Cornwall 5000 latitude reel on. The reel's probably a bit overgunned for this, but it's just the reel I bought for my tench fishing, so I've just used this on this particular rod. I'll just clip that up. I think I've already clipped it at the right distance anyway, but I'll just check it. Yeah, that's good for me. So now I'll cast 4 bait up feeders to that line there. So I'm happy with all baited up now, so again I'll just leave that one another 45 minutes before I cast onto that line. Well, I don't know how long he's been on for. I've not seen any indications while I've been baiting up that other line, so apologies if I've missed that and missed a reel. I'm going to have to cut the line on that one. They're a handful to hold and notorious for taking the hook down, unfortunately, and it does some more damage trying to unhook them. So I'll cut the line as close as possible to his mouth, and then I shall let the little wriggler go back to his depths. Oh, off you go, little eel. Ooh. So it's been 45 minutes since I baited up the far line now, so I've got a size 18 Drennan Super Spade hook on with a 35cm tail. I'm just loading the feeder up with ground bait and pellets and a few dead reds in there, and I've got a glug of Manila liquid on there as well. So I'll cast out to that bait up line for the first time this morning, and hopefully we'll see some skimmers over there. There's a little twitch. So there's definitely fish around the feeder. Not enough to lift into yet. I've got a 1.5 ounce tip on this one, so not quite as sensitive as the 3/4 ounce on my Preston rod for the short line. I'm using braids, so when a skimmer picks it up, it does go right round. Little roads just give a little back and forth twitch. Just drag it slowly, see if that can instigate anything. There's a cart boshing out just to the left of me. I don't know whether you can see it on camera, but it's just in front of the boathouse, that staying shed there on the canal. Just a few splashes just on the surface, just right in front of that boathouse. And there was one earlier on right in front of me as well, and I did my first cast on my sleeper carp rod. So there's definitely fish about, but obviously the ones I've seen are on the surface, so hopefully there'll be some on the bottom feeding as well. It's been 10 minutes now on that cast, so reel it in and cast out again. The indication didn't develop, so unless there's a small fish on that didn't move. No, there's not. Might have just been something knocking the feeder. No signs on the pinkies. 3 metre line for the first time now, that's settled. In a match I'd be alternating those lines to see which where the fish were settled on, if any. Obviously as I'm pleasure fishing, I could just have both rods out to test the waters and see where the fish are. Hopefully they're settled on one of the lines, and if I do find them all on one line and the action's a bit frenetic, I'll just leave one rod out. But I've got two rods, one clip to the far line, one clip to the 16 metre line, so it makes sense to have both out to maximise potential. Touch. Is that on? Should have left it to develop. No fish. That was on for just under 5 minutes. Out for just under 5 minutes, I should say. Oh, that's a slow pull on the long line. I think it might have been a liner actually, how slow that was. Again, hopefully it's fish right by the feeder. Oh, that was a little sharp knock then. It's been in for just over 11 minutes now, that one. I would have left it, brought it in at 10 minutes, but because I had that liner at 9.5, I decided it was worthwhile just leaving it just a little bit longer. There's another little touch. Yeah, that must be on, I think. Feels like something's on. I think it's going to be just a small roach. No, nothing on. That must have just been the pull of the feeder I could feel. Still good signs. Yeah, pink is a little bit chewed. There was a little tug there. 7.5 minutes on the distance line. Just try dragging it a bit. I think that was a drop back on that rod then, on the near line. It definitely had a bit of a curve in it and then suddenly went straight. Just tighten it up again. Yep, that's one. That's been in for 30 seconds. It's a little tiny skimmer. Just to follow that down to the bottom. That's what I like to see. That's what we've been waiting for. In the top lip. Like I say, I think he followed it down. Rather than picking it up from the bottom. There we are. Hopefully the bigger ones will be along shortly. That's one on the long rod. This feels a better fish. Ooh. Yeah, definitely a few nods of the head on this one. And this one's been out for 8 minutes. I think it's the third cast on both the lines now, so it obviously takes a few casts before they start showing. Yeah, that's a nice size skimmer. That's caught one about the same size from the 16 metre line on my match here on the same peg last Sunday, which is what I wanted to try and replicate and improve on. That's a nice good sign. We had 2 in succession on both lines. Yeah, about £1.5 pounds. Here we are. Sliding back. Little pull in on the long line, slight tug. It's been out for 5 minutes, but it was slightly to the right of the baited up area. Just see whether that develops. Short line's been out for 9 minutes now, no indications on that one this time. Oh, there's a pull on the distance rod. Seven and a half minutes again. I'm sure we've had a bite at that point before, or an indication at least. Let's see if it develops. Look like another little tremor. Let me just give it a little drag just so I can see whether it's on or not. Always run the risk of it pulling it away from its mouth or scaring it off when I do that, but I'd rather try and find out one way or the other then let it chew my maggot and just disappear. Oh, there we are, into one. Hopefully. Maybe I should have left it develop. Oh yeah, I was going to say, I can feel something on the end. It's definitely not a skimmer. What we got here? Oh, a little gudgeon. I don't think I've caught a gudgeon on a feeder since fishing the concrete banks on the River Trent in Nottingham in the 90s. Out in the bottom lip. Probably about half the size that I caught in Nottingham as well. A tiny one. Nice little gudgeon. On that one, just sorting my short line out. I just reeled that short line in after 11 minutes. Really chewed pinky. I think I've pulled in a bit too hard on this long line. No bait. It did feel like the fish was on when I first lifted into it, but nothing there now. So on my short line I've just put some chopped worm in the feeder for the first time today. I've only got a few worms left from the last session, and I've got a little bit of worm, about a centimetre long worm, and a pinky on the hook. I've just got some indications there straight away in the first minute. So is that what I've been missing so far? The chopped worm. Is that why this session hasn't really developed as much as I'd liked it to have done? Nothing conclusive yet on that rod. Just little twitches. Maybe I should have tried chopped worm in the feeder and just double pinky still on the hook rather than a worm on the hook, but I thought I'd try the two together. Still just got one eel, two skimmers and a gudgeon to show for the session. I'm not too how long I mean, it's 1:30 now, so about 3 maybe 4 hours in I think. We've got a bit of a shower shaft starting now, so it looks like that might, hopefully that'll kickstart the fishing a little bit, encourage the fish to feed a bit more. We've already got a ripple on the water, which is what gives them confidence here. So I've just cast out the long rod again to the far bank. I've got it spot on right on my feed. And after this time I've put chopped worm in the feeder after the indications I've got on the short rod with double pinky on the hook. So that should be the magic ingredients for a skimmer. So hopefully it works. There we go, same again. That time cast out with chopped worm in the feeder and double pinky on the hook. And had a couple of pulls straight away. Not quite enough for me to lift into. Just hope it goes one more time. And hope it wasn't just something snatching at it as it fell past it through the water. The feeder had definitely hit the bottom because the rod tip had slackened off, but whether that hook length was still falling or not, it's 35cm hook length. Just drag it slightly to see whether it lifts up a little. So I've just chopped up another worm, put it in that little micro feeder again. It's the last worm that I've got now. I really had just got a handful of worms left in that tub. Let's see whether I get an instant response again and see whether I should have brought more worms to make this a better session. It didn't develop on the last cast, there was just a couple of light pulls on the rod tip. Literally as just slightly after the feeder had landed. Oh. Lots of little twitches on that tip. Short rod then, I was just about to cast out my long one. Yeah, that's on. I think it's going to be a tiny roach though. It's not on. Typical. There are still bits of worm left in the feeder. Well, I don't like to change a few things at the same time because it doesn't really prove anything, but I have done in this case. So I've just unclipped my reel on the short line and just done about an arm length further out, so probably about half a metre further out than I was, just to see if the fish have backed off a bit. And I've also changed to a 6-inch hook length. So I was reeling with to get a few chewed pinkies, so might have been a bit too flex in the hook length. And also that short hook length is actually a size 20 hook, so it's a small hook as our final line. So hopefully it's going to mean better bite detection and more confident fish. Fingers crossed. Oh, there's a pull on the long rod. Almost 5 minutes that's been out for. It looks like it's just a liner there. That's got to be on surely now, hopefully. It developed from a slow pull which I put down to a liner to a few sharp little rocks. Whether it's one of those little gudgeon again. No, it's nothing at all. No bait, but no fish. Slight twitch on the short rod then. It's been out for 5 minutes. Too busy doing the stopwatch then for that bite. Have I missed it? Couple of taps on the distance rod. Then that's been up for 13 minutes now. I've decided just to leave that one until it goes now, rather than recast it every 10 like I have been. Let's go for that one now. Let's see. A couple of indications within a minute then. Hopefully it's something that's on. No, it's not. There's a bite. Finally, first one for ages. Little skimmer, similar size to the one that started the day. It's been a frustrating day really, to be honest, overall. Never quite developed like I'd want it to. There we are, little handful skimmer. Hooked right in the bottom lip on a single pinky, and the bite was after about a minute and a half. I had lots of like little tremors on the tip and chewed pinkies, but not enough distinct, definite bites like that one was today. Slow pull on the distance rod then. Just one little pull. Just try dragging it back a little just so that instigates a bite. To the same for the short rod as well, actually. I've got a few minutes left of fishing now, but I've got to be honest, it's been a disappointing day on Bude Canal. I've ended up with 3 skimmers, 1 eel and 1 gudgeon, so less than the weight that I caught on last week's match. I was hoping to improve upon that and learn from what improve upon what I'd learned from last week's session, but I didn't manage to do that. I don't know whether it's because of the lack of chopped worm. I literally had 4 or 5 worm left to chop up, so I put 1 per feeder about halfway through the session, and I did get indications on those, but I didn't even those didn't develop into bites. I missed loads of bites in terms of reeled in with chewed pinkies. Some of those have had minor indications that I didn't feel were warranted lifting into, and I've got one on a point now, I believe. Yes, so I'm going to lift into that one. Typical. Yeah, this is what I wanted more of, really. Another one of those, and it's come off, look, see? There you go. That just about sums up the day, really. Finally got a proper bite then. Oh, it's just another one of the little skimmers again. I've decided to turn up now and trying to pack things away. Throwing the last of the pinkies in the canal now. There's a few left in the ground bait mix though. Right in the bottom lip. There we are. I think I've pretty much summed it up over the last few minutes there. So I was expecting to do better than I had done in the match without anybody else fishing on here, with all the fish to myself. Never really happened. I've had a few plucks here and there, a few chewed pinkies and a few fish, but there's always next time, isn't there? So join me again on the next session, where hopefully I'll be back at Upper Tamar, where I'll get more missed bites but lots more fish.